When dealing with a personal injury case, you want someone who can understand what you're going through, and that's certainly the deal with Colburn Law. Here to share more about the personal reason he became a personal injury attorney is Greg Colburn himself. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Kelly.
Definitely. So I want to get right to your story and how it really shaped your career.
Yes, so I was a baseball player at University of Washington. Wow. I grew up in Montana, but I always knew I wanted to come back here. I was pre-med, and after my senior year, I had signed a professional baseball contract, was working construction in the off season, and unfortunately, due to a roofing subcontractor's negligence, I fell off a roof. Destroyed pretty much the weight-bearing joints in both of my feet.
Oh my gosh.
And knew while I was on the ground that I was probably never playing baseball again. I had a couple of surgeries, spent about 2 years in a wheelchair, and during that process of getting frustrated with workers' compensation, trying to understand my rights, not getting callbacks from law firms, I made the decision to change from pre-med to law, which confused my parents, I think at the time. There was a long pause on the phone when I told my mom that
Really?
I was not going to be a surgeon, be a lawyer. Yeah, so that process completely changed my outlook on life and my path. I mean, I went from being a D1 athlete to just a dude in a wheelchair.
No, it changed the entire trajectory, but I'm sure there's a lot of clients that you have now that are very thankful that you're in this position that you are in. Your case was denied by dozens of lawyers. Why did no one want to take your case?
The issue with accepting or rejecting my case, it stemmed from, I really feel, a lack of listening. So a lot of times when a person calls a law firm, they're talking to somebody who they don't know is really not even at the law firm. They're in another state or somewhere else. They have minimal training on understanding the intricacies of a personal injury case. And when I told the people that were taking my calls at the law firms that I had been injured on the job, I was told, oh, well, you can only go through workers' comp. You can't do anything else. And there was a lack of listening, of taking an extra 60 seconds to 2 minutes to just hear what I had gone through and to understand that my claim was broader than just workers' comp. It involved personal injury claims against the subcontractor that had created this condition that caused me to fall.
Definitely. And how did all of this really build up then to your law firm's mission now when you look at what you're doing?
You know, I used to say that falling that day was the worst day of my life. And then years passed, and my wife, who I love and adore, she's my number one, she told me she didn't want to hear that anymore. And the reason was, had I not fallen, we would not have met.
Wow.
We wouldn't have our 2 beautiful children, and I wouldn't have the law firm that I have. And that law firm really was born out of a mission to listen to people. So we can't help everyone, and we acknowledge that, but we want to serve people with empathy. We want to advocate for them with grit, and we want to hold folks accountable, and we hold ourselves accountable. And so that core mission of listening, because I always go back to not feeling like I was being heard.
Definitely. What clients do you work with? For people that are listening, how do they know that, they should be calling you? Do they have a case?
If someone has been harmed or injured, or their family member, by another person or entity's negligence, meaning somebody did something or failed to do something that they should have, and they've suffered physical harm and really a loss of enjoyment of life, meaning how has it impacted your life? Even if it's short term, those impacts can be pretty catastrophic. So the best choice is a call. We will hear you out and then advise whether we're the firm to help you. And if not, we're going to get you resources that can. That's really our mission, is advocacy and education.
Amazing. It was so interesting talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your personal story as well.
Thank you for having me on.
Definitely. New Day Northwest is sponsored by Colburn Law Accident and Injury Lawyers.